forum is to inform and involve the community on the various issues surrounding homelessness. Today, we will be hearing from many levels of experience, from homeless advocates to those who have experienced or are presently homeless. I would like to request just a minute of silence, not just for Ron Hamilton, but we'd like to remember all the people that have died in our streets, sometimes with no names. We don't know who they are. They carry no identification. And I respectfully ask for about 1 minute of silence.
Here's how we're going to end homelessness. That's the topic. The obvious answer, and the really simple answer, is that homelessness is going to end when homeless people have housing. I mean, it's a concept that is so fundamentally simple that it eludes us sometimes. I like to remind people that we have plenty of housing and vacant buildings that are available in the community. So it's not a problem of not having enough housing, it's a problem of priorities for the political and economic system, which doesn't seem to meet people's needs. You need to have short, mid, and long-term goals to end homelessness. The short term is that people need food, they need drinking water, trash bins, portable toilets, health services, and the end of the criminalization of poverty. That's because that's where people are at right now. People are living on the streets. They need basic services to address their needs. Midterm, we need to establish a concept called safe ground so that homeless people have a place to go, that they're not criminalized because of their poverty. And that's the case right now, frankly, in Fresno and in Merced, I believe. There is no place where people can go and legally live. And until that is resolved, we're not going to solve homelessness. Long term, the solution to ending homelessness clearly is housing. Making housing a priority so that every human being has a place to live that is decent and affordable.
We have a plan to put together a community, which when you get into the lingo of all this, is probably best described as a transitional housing community with outreach services, designed by the homeless, for the homeless, with the help of advocates and a whole staff of volunteer professionals. We have attorneys, we have architects, we have affordable housing experts, we have just a litany of different experts helping us. Our community would end up being, we're looking to start as a pilot community because we want this to be a low-cost, replicable model that can be duplicated around our region and perhaps others. Because we don't see that where the government is going right now, that the money for these larger scale programs is going to come anytime soon. So we're trying to do something at a cost that we can raise with private funding.
The 10-year plan is designed to look at our local issues and then tie in some benchmarks, basically, that we're going to be striving to achieve over the next 10 years. And 10 years seems like a long time when folks are dealing with homelessness right now. But as has been discussed earlier today, we can't make promises overnight, but we can, one housing unit at a time, try to get some goals accomplished here. So in the 10-year plan, The recommendation that's being put forward is to adopt the housing first model on a local level, and then that will enable us to go ahead and pursue funding and basically organize collaborations with agencies that are already providing housing so that we can show some outcomes. Let me just go back a little bit in time and talk about why we are doing the 10-year plan. Basically, issues have come up, as you know, in this past year that have reached a climax in our community. I think for long enough, the issue was ignored at the political level. And I was asked to put forward a proposal for the development of a 10-year plan. Basically, I want to acknowledge at this point that the funding to produce the plan was approved by the jurisdictions. We have 3 jurisdictions supporting the development of the plan, and that's the County of Merced, the City of Merced, and the City of Los Banos. And those jurisdictions all acknowledge the issue and want to see some changes. They want to see opportunities to change this issue, to stop homelessness in our community, and that is the reason why the plan was funded.
Bloomberg News did a report last year when we released a study on renters in foreclosed property, saying in California alone, the major banks were foregoing $1 billion or more annually in rental payments that they could be collecting from folks. In Merced specifically, we're talking about last year, 2,643 units of housing that went into foreclosure. Of those, nearly 1,000 were rentals, affecting an estimated 2,500 rentals. So that's in 1 year, that's in 2010. You have 2,500 people in the county of Merced who likely lost their home. Almost all of them lost their home because of foreclosure. Now, obviously, this has impacts in causing homelessness. It also has impacts on the entire neighborhood because these properties are vacant. They become blighted, drag down property values, even of the homeowners in the area. Essentially, nobody benefits from this situation. And unlike some of the other issues that are being addressed today, where the solutions are expensive, the solution to this problem costs nothing at all. 15 cities in the state of California already have local laws that prevent the eviction of renters after foreclosure. It's that simple. It takes, anywhere from a month to a few months if there's the political will, if there's the organizing base, to get a city council to pass what's called a just cause for eviction law, which basically says that the owner of property can evict if they have a reason to. For example, the tenant stops paying the rent or creates a nuisance, or whoever owns the property wants to live there, or these laws list out 10, 15 reasons that are recognized for a good cause for eviction. But foreclosure is not one of them. Because again, why should tenants have to move out? Simply because the owner's not paying the mortgage. The bank, like any other landlord, could take over and keep renting out the property.
But that's all we need right now is jobs. And how come nobody's going to give us support? Just because I'm homeless? Come on, this is getting pitiful. I may not look homeless, but I am. I'm going to live in Sacramento. I go up there, I find my sign. It says hard times, need work. Look at this. There's no benefits. Why not call back? Why not? Just give us a job. Very chance.
I was involved in the 10-year plan process in San Jose. In fact, if you look it up, you can find my name on it. But the results have been very mixed, and the reason the results are mixed is the 10-year plan does not address the larger issues. It addresses a very small slice of the problem. And in fact, we started our 10-year plan in Santa Clara County in 2005 with 7,000 homeless, and they don't have the figures in yet from the latest census, but they're projecting that there'll be more homeless than when we started the plan. That's not very effective. That's not doing the things that need to be done, and the reason is because the 10-year plan addresses the minutiae of providing services and locating homeless people and trying to get them into housing that doesn't exist. The housing's not there. We need to reorient our effort and push on the government to provide housing the way it used to. We didn't have homelessness 30 or 40 years ago. It wasn't even here. It didn't even exist until the government started creating it.
One of those 1950s homeless churches, and I slept under a ramp of one of the churches in Framingham, Massachusetts. That's where they probably got my accent, but I still talk to Todd. And I noticed that there was no one around that looked homeless, but then I didn't really know what I looked like. So from that point, and not telling anyone, I worked my way up the rubber ladder of success to become a nurse and work in the emergency department. From there, I recognized so many of my friends that I still call friends. They were homeless, and their wound was sad. Their life story was sad. And the greatest gift I got from them is the first thing about them is not their homelessness. It is all of us that are homeless if we just stop and look. We're all a job away. We're all anything away. And why I say that to you is we are all created in God's image, which makes all of us equal.
14 years of being homeless is kind of hard to sum up in 3 minutes, or 2 minutes, or 1 minute. But first of all, I want to mention veterans. I'm a Vietnam veteran myself, and there should not be no veterans homeless, no place in the United States. And there is. There's no change. Lyrics to the stars, from the stars standing down, from the land of the free, the home and the grave, to the land of the free, because of the grave. And that's a fact. You know, too many homeless veterans out there sleeping in a ditch, and there's no help for them whatsoever. The only help that a veteran can get, he has to be an alcoholic, drug abuse, or mental issues. And something is wrong with that picture that needs to be fixed.
Housing is a human right. 17 years ago, I was shot in the head in a laundromat and spent 12 years in abandoned buildings. And all the time I was homeless, I only spent 3 nights outside because housing is a human right. I advocate for staying in that home. I advocate for turning the utilities on and for living there because you're human beings. You shouldn't have to be groveling in the dirt like an animal. I did not like the days I had to spend outside with no place to go. It was horrifying. It was scary. It was bad. It was not good at all. Amen. An abandoned building is much safer for me. I felt much more comfortable.
Because after 8 years living among the homeless as one of them, I realized something. The homeless are more darn resourceful than most of the what we call normies. If you take and look at the homeless and what they can do with a piece of baling wire masking tape, I was just looking at a guy out here in the parking lot. A bicycle was too small for him. So what did? He welded 2 bicycles together. How many people in this audience can pick up a welder and do that? Look at what we're wasting here in our people. We need to watch the homeless for a reason. They've got the answer here. America is a very, very sick nation right now. It's falling into third world poverty all over the place. And why is it doing that? Because we traded our manufacturing sector for real estate speculation. That's what's happening here. Now these people that are out here on the street, they know how to make things. They know how to do things. They need to teach the normies what to do. I mean, look at where the normies are getting their information. They say that the homeless are all out there because of drugs and alcohol. Has anybody watched what's happening to Charlie Sheen lately? This is what needs to be done. So my message is to the homeless today: organize. Because one thing America doesn't have anymore is a community. And the number one cause of homelessness for most people in Sacramento is a blow up of blood. Their family's gone. They don't have any place to go. But when they came to the river, they found a family in the homeless community. That's why when we look at things like self-help housing in Sacramento, and we take the number of people that are supposedly served and divide it by the number of houses available, we come out with 20 people per house. These have a maximum of 3 people in the house. These numbers are not righteous. They're not telling us the truth.
Amen.
And why is that? Because people leave those houses to come back to the community where they found a family, where they found community. And that is the only thing that is going to save America from completely plunging into third world poverty, is to regain our sense of community and to start to work together. And we can learn that from the homeless. Thank you.
There were 26,343 homeless registered in Santa Clara County. Through their 10-year plan, they were able to house 1,342. This information came from Jennifer Loving of Destination Home. That's a 5%, as she called it, success rate. Or you can look at it the way I do and look at it as 95% failure rate. All right? Out of that, they identified 517 as chronically homeless. So chronically homeless is only half. Right now, the growing rate of homeless people are families. Most people don't realize this, that children that are in foster care, the minute they become 18 years old, 50% of those people become homeless through no fault of their own.
I wanted to know what homeless people themselves had to say. So I spent a lot of time talking to individual homeless people about the situations. And I asked them, what do you most want? And when you ask that question of homeless people, they never say a pill, a program, or a protocol, ever. They say they want a place to live. And when you ask them further in, when they identify a place to live, you ask, well, what's the next thing you would want? Invariably, they say they want a job so they can support that place to live. And part of our work is to acknowledge that people fall into homelessness in a variety of different ways.
That's right.
As people hear just a moment ago, authentic voices from homeless people, they said, we made some bad decisions and we fell in, and homeless people have told me that all around the world. But we also know that as much as personal decisions are a factor in homelessness, we do know that public policy decisions are even a greater factor in people falling into homelessness. And you know, for a long time, the arguments that we made, and I was chief among them, back in my home state of Massachusetts, we shaped arguments, powerful arguments, rhetorically inflaming arguments, because we believed in the work of the abolition of agitation. So we created arguments on the moral oneness, and the spiritual, and the humanitarian oneness of homelessness, and we packaged those, and we presented them up in the legislature, in the governor's office. And you know what happened on homelessness? Nothing. Nothing. A lot of words, but no reality to the words. So as much as we were abolitionists back in Massachusetts, as much as we wanted to see change on this issue, we came to recognize that the moral, spiritual, and humanitarian arguments, while you keep a good grip on them, they do not move political will, which has been something that's been talked about up here a lot. They don't move political will. It was when we started to understand the cost of homelessness that political will paid attention, and when we discovered that the innovative ideas, like Housing First, No Wrong Door, Assertive Community Treatment Team, Project Homeless Connect, when those ideas matched with reducing and ending homelessness, and that combination of innovation and good policy actually produce cost savings for a city or a county, suddenly mayors and county executives, instead of just hearing all those moral and spiritual arguments that they would affirm, they would agree, but they wouldn't take action. Suddenly they understood that they had to put resources to affect cost savings for their community.
You know, I've invited city council out and I said, come look at our homes. Come check them out. Sure, there are some people that could care less, but don't put us all together in the same boat that say if something happens here at your university and then they all want to hook you in together that, oh, somebody gets busted for drugs. Oh, now, UC Merced has a bunch of addicts out there, a bunch of drug users. How fair is that?
What we've discovered is that we really don't know our rights that well. And we also know that by knowing them, we can help protect ourselves and each other. There is a understanding that we need to work together on this, that our tenants can be evicted by the landlord being foreclosed on, and there's ways to protect yourself from that, because you should have a reasonable time of notice, you should have a place to move to if you're being moved out. Working on bringing less misinformation and more information, true information to each other, and that's by getting to know the rights, first of all, passing them on to each other, also making sure the city council passes a law to stop the bank evictions on foreclosed property, and encourage people to work on the pressuring city council, and also to create a tenants group within your area.
And the next steps that we recommend are connecting with the local resources such as the Center for Health Disparities, that's me here too, and also the Office of Research. Like there's a lot of research offices here on campus, and just connecting them with grassroots communities that are here too.
One of the content was the biggest obstacles. There was a bunch of them that was discussed. One was a lack of money, lack of jobs, need to organize, yes I can, need to learn skills of organizing to create new leaders, train new leaders to organize after the original ones are gone, working on barriers between different groups who are fighting different struggles but not fighting together. It's going to be great programs to help the homeless find jobs. Homeless people need to realize their own potential, realize we can change things. General public's view needs to be changed by educating them, and also that's about educating the politicians at all possible.
We have to get housing for people, and one of the ways was somebody brought up a coalition to end homelessness, and that coalition would then go to the city.
I would sit out under the trees sometimes, or just in my cell on a top bunk because he had a talking about it. And sometimes in the quiet solitude of my office in the chapel, I would write. And I'd like to share some of those with you if you'd like me to. In the snare of sin, my soul is gone, all my life is lost at heart. My mother saw my picture and said, Christ cannot be seen. When I went into the chapel and knocked out upon my